Yo, Editor Oni here, and I'm just letting you guys know we have a new Discord server that is linked down in the description down below. My old Discord account got deleted or disabled by Discord themselves because someone decided to report my Discord server for no reason. Thank you all, enjoy the video.
Peter Piper got my eyes on her like sniper. Gonna take your girl like swiper. You won't smoke, then get a lighter. I say, what the heck is you doing? I cannot say the other word. Of my parents are shooting, my fist be pulled. Hey, you don't have fans. Yeah, you may be right, sis. Hit your girl like demolition derby.
Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new video on this channel. This one was actually made by and suggested by Sixmeister. Thank you, mate. You're welcome. And this is what if Deku married Lady Dimitri. Or I should be saying it wrong or right, I don't know. So if I do get it wrong, please don't slander me. And also one last thing, all social medias are linked in the description. And also if you guys would actually like to hit the subscribe button, it's free. You guys can unsubscribe at any time. And we're getting so close to 1.3 thousand subscribers. If you guys can hit 1.3 thousand subscribers this week, that will be so hyped. Thank you all, and let's begin. And also, one last thing I forgot to mention. If you guys actually want to see the Naruto point of view of this, Sixmeister's video should be linked in the description the moment it releases. We're releasing both our videos at the same time, so once you finish watching this, you guys can immigrate to his channel and watch it. To be honest, I've read his script, it's fucking amazing. So you guys should actually go read it and watch it, it's goddamn beautiful. So without further ado, let's begin. So let's just begin with the perspective of this world. As the only 80% of the population has quirks, and only 20% doesn't. That 20% is treated like trash, and while the 80% are treated like gods. We're going to focus mainly on our 20%, mainly our little cinnamon roll, Izuku Midoriya. With the age of 14 going on 15, Izuku had his heart broken the moment he met his idol, Toshinori, or you guys would know him as All Might. All Might would have crushed Izuku's dreams to the point Izuku didn't want to become a hero anymore. For the fact reason, Izuku wanted revenge on this broken hero society that people called gods among men. Huh, pathetic. Izuku was internally thinking. So, what happened? What would happen to our little cinnamon roll throughout these couple of months of training? Well, you'll just find out in 3, 2, 1. As throughout these couple of months of training, Izuku would have picked up little habits, with these little things being very important to Izuku now. Izuku would have picked up shoplifting and some other stuff, like learning how to use a knife, gun, and some other stuff. Izuku would have actually learned how to load a gun through one of his actual family members who owned a little manor in the actual middle of nowhere. Izuku would visit this little manor once every so often, like once a month, to actually learn how to actually use a gun and how to actually hold it. Izuku would have picked on this in less than a couple of days. Izuku would have easily learnt and figured how to actually use and assemble and deassemble a gun without even trying. As Izuku was one day actually walking through an alleyway until he saw a little notice flyer saying League of Villains. Izuku was internally thinking, well, this looks a bit stupid, but I'll give it a try. As Izuku would have actually read through the actual meetup place, so Izuku would have just sat there and waited until they arrived. Around about 16 to 13 villains would have actually, 13 to 16 would have actually arrived there, just looking at the little scrawny kid. Oi kid, you seem a bit scrawny to be a villain. Call me scrawny one more time and I'll slit your throat, you old bag, Izuku said. Wow, we've got a feisty one here, don't we? As Izuku would have hauled the guy into the neck. Call me scrawny, call me weak one more time, old man, Izuku said with glare in his eyes, intent to kill. You wouldn't kill me, child, the old man said. Oh, really? Izuku said, maniacally laughing, as Izuku took his knife and slit the guy's throat like it was butter to its prey. As Izuku would have actually looked at the other guys. Who's next? Izuku said, as one of the men would have charged at Izuku. As Izuku would have actually avoided one of his attacks, stabbing the knife in the man's liver, cutting straight from his nape all the way to his chops. If you guys get that reference, it's from Macbeth. As the man choked on his own blood, killing him in 25 seconds. As Izuku would have charged at the other men. But before Izuku could continue, "So, these seem like good applicants, Shigaraki. You sure these will suffice?" The Black Mist man said. "Well, they better be. If they're not up to the test, they won't be good applicants. Well, I will have to kill them," Shigaraki would have said, coming out of the black mist. "So, young applicants, would you follow us, young sirs?" the Black Mist man said, opening a gate. As everyone walked through, except for one person, this being one of the people that Izuku would have slain before Izuku went through the portal. As the man stood there stunned, having an actual knife in his L1 and L2 long vertebrae. As Izuku would have just said, "Have fun," Izuku said with a massive delirious smile on his face. As Izuku walked through the portal as the portal closed. As Izuku appeared in a little bar-like area. "So, everyone here, sit down and get a drink," Shigaraki said, grabbing one of the guy's arms, trying to disintegrate it. "If you guys don't listen, you're going to die," Shigaraki said, as he put both his 5 fingers on the man's neck, disintegrating him instantly. "Weak," Shigaraki said. Shigaraki went to the other man. As before, the actual 5 hands could touch the old man. "Touch me, I will kill you," the old man said. As Shigaraki said, "Ooh, we got a feisty one here, don't we?" Shigaraki said. As Izuku would have interrupted saying, "So how do we join this shitty league?" Izuku said. You seem weirdly interesting," Shigaraki said, as Shigaraki would have took a long stare at Izuku. "Hey, you're that kid who killed a hero, wasn't it? Or was it a villain? I can't remember," Shigaraki said. "Well, I was the one who actually killed one of the heroes called... Well, it's hard to remember what his name is, but something called Manuel, I think," Izuku said. As Shigaraki said, "Cool, you've actually killed a hero before. One of the top 100s. Good," Shigaraki said, with glee in his voice, knowing someone's actually killed a 100 tier hero. "So, you seem pretty useful," Shigaraki said. "Let's just see how far we can push you then, without you breaking." Shigaraki would have tossed Izuku through a portal, leading him into a dark, abyssal area. "Okay, this seems a little bit odd. Why the hell did Handyman push me into here?" Izuku said. Before Izuku could say anything, Izuku heard a dark, turned voice. "Izuku Midoriya," the old man said, as Izuku turned around. "Who the hell are you?" Izuku said. "I'm what you call a lost relic," he said. "I'm quite the strong villain out of them all. My name is All For One, and you interest me," All For One said. "How do I interest you per se? Do I have a quirk that you want, or... Nah, it's your personality. If we mold you correctly, I see you being quite strong," All For One said. As Izuku said, "Well, if you're willing to give me something in return for strength, right ahead, I'll join your shitty league," Izuku said. As All For One would have reached out Izuku's hand, saying, "Give me your hand, kid," All For One said. "Seems a bit odd, but okay," Izuku said. But the moment All For One grabbed Izuku's hand, he pushed him towards him. "Let's just see what you have." As All For One scanned through Izuku's DNA. "You don't have a quirk. Perfect, then this will be perfect for you," All For One said. As Izuku's body started to ache in pain and bruise and burns started to appear on Izuku's body. Izuku said. as Izuku's transfer of his new quirk finally finished, as All For One about to tell Izuku what it was until Izuku passed out from the pain of exhaustion of being given something he always wanted, as a black mist of a portal came out of nowhere and soaked Izuku back in, as Izuku appeared back in the little bar that was there, as Izuku was brought into a little room where he could rest until the quirk finally settled in, as Izuku managed to actually get some rest through, as Izuku woke up a couple of hours later feeling fatigued and exhausted just from a quirk being transferred. Nah, it can't be, Izuku said, as Izuku felt his body more and more drag onto the floor. Oh, for fuck's sake, Izuku said as he walked into the actual bar area, seeing a blonde-haired girl and a black-haired man in the same area. Who the hell are you? Izuku said. Well, we were going to ask the same thing to you. My name's Izuku Midoriya. I'll just call me Deku, is whatever. Who the hell are you? Izuku said. Well, I'm Toga Himiko. It's nice to meet you. I'm Dabi. So, edgelord and hype about blood. Got it, Izuku said. Edgelord, I should just burn you to a crisp right now. My point exactly, Izuku said, staring at Kurogiri, pointing his finger. So, Kurogiri, what are we having for breakfast? Izuku, it's the late at night. Well, so it's for breakfast, Izuku said, as Kurogiri just face palmed at this, as Kurogiri just looked back over at what he had. Well, we have sugar puffs, Rice Krispies, you pick. Sugar puffs, thanks, Izuku said, pouring himself a bowl of cereal. Once Izuku started pouring, Izuku could feel his body starting to heat up slowly but surely, as Izuku felt his body more and more heated by the second. What the? But before Izuku could say anything, fire just came crawling out of his hand, making it into a giant burst of flame. Well, that's cool, Izuku said. Never had that before. Well, it's from the quirk that the master gave you, Kurogiri said, interrupting him. Okay, so this is the quirk that... What is his name again? All For One? Izuku said. Yes, his name is All For One. And you must be very careful what you say around him. He can't kill you without thinking about it, he said. Okay, I shouldn't be scared then? Should I? Yes, you should be scared of our lord. For the sake of your behavior, he could kill you anytime he wants. Oh, could he now? Izuku said. Yes, he could. He can take and bestow what has just been given to you. You piss him off, he will kill you, Kurogiri said to Izuku, making Izuku have chills down his spine. As Izuku came out of the actual main area once he's at his cereal. So, we're gonna start training today or what? Izuku said. Yes, we will be starting to train, but first we need to see how much power you can output. As Kurogiri opened a portal into a little nearby abandoned area, as Kurogiri told Izuku to let loose and throw all of his power at once. And how do I do that? Never had a quirk before, dumbass, Izuku said. Focus on the main area of the power and release it. It's not that hard, kid, Kurogiri said, as Izuku would have done this and focused mainly on his hands, letting out giant amounts of pressure from his fingers, letting loose, as the fire that Izuku let loose could probably surround the area like Endeavor's prominence burn like he did in the Nomu and the Skylight Cannon. Thanks to All For One keeping the quirk for so long, it stockpiled power and got stronger throughout the hundreds of years All For One has kept it. Thanks to All For One, Izuku has now got a quirk that actually forces his power to evolve rapidly. As Izuku trained with this quirk for the beginning of the 9 months. As those 9 months of training, Izuku would have figured out quite a bit with his quirk. I'll just put it on screen or just like put a list, but I will tell you. As Izuku learned how to create a fireball, learn how to disperse, learn how to create a little fire ring, learned how to actually do quite a bit actually, now I think about it. If you guys can picture what Endeavor can do, Izuku could technically do that. But Izuku still lacks the experience, but Izuku can learn that no problem. as Izuku would be actually being taught by All For One, Shigaraki, and Kurogiri some days. As Izuku throughout those months would have been taught and told by All For One that Izuku had to actually go to intervent UA. As Izuku would have interjected saying, "Do I have to?" Izuku said, "Yes, you have to. Or else we'll have to, you know." What do you mean by "Oh, you mean kill me?" Izuku said. "Yes, kill you." Other way of saying it, All For One said, as Izuku would have tried to get a bad score on the written test at the time the actual testing came around, but Izuku would end up passing it accidentally somehow, as Izuku was really confused on how he passed. Like, Izuku didn't even try. Like, how the hell did I get 65%? Izuku said. "Oh yeah, I forgot. All For One gave me an intelligence quirk. Shit," Izuku said. As for the practical portion, Izuku would have done anything, but before Izuku could barely even get any points, Izuku heard a screech. "Help me, somebody!" As Izuku looked back to see a girl being trapped under some rubble. "Oh, do I have to save her?" Izuku thought, "If I don't save her and get points, All For One will probably kill me." "Ah, shit," Izuku said. "Oh, well then." Izuku walked over to this rubble piece, picked it up, and threw it away. "You need saving? Okay then," Izuku said, picking up her chakra from the floor, like cannon. Oh, not like cannon. As Izuku would have just threw her to the side where all the crowd was, as a blue-haired Sonic the Hedgehog would have caught her, asking her if she was okay. As Uraka would have replied saying, "My ankle's broken, and can we get a pussy Uraka in the chat, please?" "I'm joking, don't." As Izuku would have just said, "Ugh, pathetic." "Prominence, burn!" Izuku said, firing out loud bits of fire from Izuku's hands, landing it, destroying the 0-pointer, melting it like it was lava that touched it. As Izuku would have actually passed the flying color area, getting around about, let's just say, 60 points, like cannon, and extra couple of villain points. Thank you for the shockwave of fire, burning some pointers out as well. Izuku would be 70 points altogether. As Izuku would have got his letter of resignation to the villain lair, because Izuku felt no need to actually live with his mother anymore. Because of her, Izuku was depressed, so you know where that went. If any of you have a mind or a thought about it, you would know what Izuku did. Since that day forth, a week went by until Izuku finally got his uniform accepted from UA. As Izuku wore his uniform and felt disgusted just wearing that filthy uniform that's surrounding his body. Oh, I cannot stand this fucking uniform. I just have to wear it for a good couple of days, and we can finally kill All Might, Izuku said, slowly losing his mind from just wearing this filth of a hero school's uniform. "Why couldn't have All Might gone to fucking Jikitsu High?" Izuku said, muttering under his breath, as Izuku said goodbye to his fellow league members. "Goodbye, I'm leaving for fucking dirty ass school," Izuku said. "Izuku, please be more cheerful, we don't want to be found out this early," Kurogiri said. "Okay, Dad," Izuku said, covering his mouth, accidentally slipping out. As Izuku would have blushed a tiny bit, as Tomura would have said, as Tomura started laughing, while Kurogiri just stood there speechless. "Okay, son, have a good day," he said, trying to pull out the best smile he could for his missed form. "It's just a joke, basically, like father-son bonding, haha, funny," Izuku, as Izuku would have walked off to UA. As the same interactions would happen like cannons, we can just skip through that little bit. As Izuku's throwing ball and actual physical test training would have gone really differently actually. Physical strength for crushing the actual grip, Izuku would have actually overheated it just a teensy bit from overheating it through anger. So Izuku managed to loosen the grip a little bit, managing to get over 500 kg. by accidentally breaking it with his heat. So Izuku's running test theory, I would say like Izuku would pull an Endeavor and actually probably fire off some little fire the back of him, like little thrusters used on like rockets or cars, so Izuku could actually fly there with minimal ease, of course. As Izuku was about to throw the ball until he heard a big boom behind him, as he saw Bakugo shouting at him, "You damn quirkless bastard! I'm gonna kill you!" Bakugo said, changing his vocabulary like canon. As Izawa would have restrained Bakugo. "Young Bakugo, you do this again, you will be expelled from UA. And I will not give any second chances out to some will-life fucking egotistical brat," Aizawa said. As Izuku would have gained the favor of Aizawa in this actual little scene here. So this is going to be interesting to actually pull off at the USJ. As Izuku would have actually been more or less been second place actually, just behind Yamamoto. So Izuku had a decent scoring with Aizawa and little bits more of an intelligent gain. As for the actual when they went all home and shit, Izuku wouldn't have talked to anyone actually in this timeline for actually Izuku not giving much of a shit, like in canon with his innocence. We don't want to break her cinnamon roll, do we? As Izuku went back to the evil lair, being not noticed by any other heroes acting suspiciously around them. As Izuku would have been more or less in the villain chamber or villain lair until the next day arrived. As Izuku heard random footsteps coming down the corridor, as All Might would have banged open the door, almost taking off its hinges. "Ha ha ha! I am here!" All Might said in his cheerful smile in the weirdest position he could muster at that time, thrusting his hips forward. As All Might would have explained to everyone like canon of what they will be doing. As All Might would have pushed a button and actually revealed everyone's hero suits. This is our story little change a tiny bit. Izuku's hero suit would be based on little canisters Izuku can use for glisten or nitroglycerin to actually create miniature explosions. Izuku got this idea from Bakugo's sweat, so Izuku can actually have more mobility like grenades and everything. So like the villains and everything could be confused while he's throwing capsules at them. As the teams would have been picked and everyone would have gone to their same teams like canon. As Izuku would be talking to Araka about the plan they were going to pull off. As Araka would have just said, "Okay, Midoriya," she said, starting on her words. As Izuku would have told her yesterday, "Don't call him Deku. It means he's weak and pathetic. And I don't want that to maybe my hero name. Fucking asshole," Izuku said to her the day before. As we cut back to present day, as Izuku and Araka was both talking about a plan, how to get into the building, as Izuku would have made one. "Okay, I'll distract Mr. Boom Boom or ISIS member, and you actually sneak him through the back and actually try and distract either long enough for me to pull this bit off." "What are you gonna do?" "I'm going to burn a hole straight through the middle so you guys can actually get a distraction, of course." "Lead him straight into the middle of the building," Izuku said. As we cut 5 minutes into the future when Izuku is actually pulling off this plan. "Come on, Bakugo, is this too much for you?" Izuku said, taunting Bakugo into his trap. "You fucking nerd, I'm gonna kill you," Bakugo shouted at Izuku very furiously. As Bakugo was about to throw one last explosion until Izuku threw his nitroglycerin grenade at Bakugo, this making Bakugo fall for it, igniting the actual bomb itself, making Bakugo go flying back. "Oh, did Bakugo get hit by his own quirk? How pathetic," Izuku said. Taunting Bakugo long enough, Bakugo was about to pull out his gauntlet and ran close to Izuku to try and pull this bit off closer, because Bakugo knows Izuku can dodge it from close range. As Bakugo was about to become closer and closer to Izuku, as Bakugo got his pin ready. "Die, you nerd!" Bakugo said, as Izuku ran straight at Bakugo. As Bakugo was a millisecond about to pull out the pin, Izuku grabbed his capture tape and used an Aizawa trick he learned in one of his journals, journal 54 or 13 depending on what in the manga it was, as Izuku wrapped it around Bakugo's arm, twisting it upwards, breaking his shoulder out of place, and following up an explosion all the way to the top of the building. "Now," Izuku said through the intercom, as Uraka led Ida straight to the middle of the building. As Ida heard a random rumble under his feet. "Uraka, make yourself weightless and jump," Izuku said. As Uraka did so, Izuku could hear, or Ida could hear, boom through the windows, as it made a giant cracking noise throughout the window and building, creating a giant massive hole like cannon throughout the building, like what Deku did with 100% one for all with his fist, as Uraka got flung far enough to actually be touching the bomb. "Hero team wins," All Might said throughout the intercom like cannon. As everyone got back to the aspiration room, I can't pronounce it, I do apologize. As Izuku was praised for his work and also denied of what he did. "You broke Bakugo Bro's arm, that's a bit reckless." "Don't worry, Recovery Girl can hear it, you whiny bastard," Izuku said, shocking Bakugo, noticing Izuku's random change in tone. "Send him just to Recovery Girl, he'll heal his arm almost instantly. Nothing it would cost is his stamina." Most of the students were shocked, knowing that a student talks to another student in that manner, as Ida would have walked over to Izuku. "Izuku, you shouldn't talk to a fellow student like that. After when he bum rushed me yesterday, I'm pretty sure he's an asshole," Izuku said, as Izuku just grabbed his little bag of somethings and actually went outside to go get changed, as All Might instructed everyone else to, after all of them had their fights, as Izuku was walking to the cafeteria to have his dinner, as Ochako, Ida, and some other students started to sit with Izuku. "So, Izuku, do you know Bakugo personally?" Ochako said, as with meter in unison. "Why do you ask that?" Izuku said, stern tone. "Well, you sort of brutally beat him, so I'm just wondering, do you guys have any beef that's unsettled or anything?" Mina said. It's gonna come out later or something. "Yeah, he was my childhood friend before he got his quirk and started to become more of an asshole," Izuku said. "What do you mean?" "Bakugo's cool," Kirishima said. "He's manly." "No, he isn't." "Is telling people to kill themselves manly?" "I think not." "Is bullying people manly?" "No." "Is actually forcibly trying to kill someone manly?" "No." "In my personal opinion, Bakugo should kill himself for the amount of shit he's done," Izuku said, as Izuku would have just picked up all his stuff and just left that room, leaving all of the students in shock of knowing what Bakugo has done. By the way, this is the only what if I'm going to screw Bakugo over so harder than other characters. Bakugo on this channel gets absolutely fucking destroyed in the comment sections. And if you guys are new to this channel, we despise Bakugo with a passion. Let's begin the rest of the what if. As Izuku was walking through the corridors until Izuku could hear a giant alarm. That must be Shigaraki breaking in. I'll just leave it, Izuku said. "Well, actually, I need to figure out a distraction, don't I?" Izuku needs to figure this out fast. Izuku thinking in the third person, as Izuku didn't need to do that for the sake of all the students actually running down the corridors. For God's sake, I didn't think that this fucking distraction would work this well, Izuku said. But before Izuku could say anything, Izuku was instantly trampled to the floor and being stamped on by other people who were passerbys, as Izuku finally had enough of this and accelerated his body in fire. "Get off of me!" Izuku shouted at the top of his lungs, pushing people back, as Izuku surrounded the corridor in little bits of fire he could at that very time without burning down the entirety of the actual area that he was in school. This gets most of the students' attention. Around this time, Izuku managed to get the attention of the actual people in front as well for the insane heat that Izuku was intensing off. "You fucking pieces of shit. You've just stamped on me, you goddamn assholes," Izuku said. "You're all meant to be goddamn heroes and you're acting like children? Huh. Make me laugh. You all don't even deserve to be heroes. You're better off just being some random fucking civilian that just sits on their ass all day in office, Izuku said, as Izuku started to walk off back to his class, as everyone's just standing there in shock, as one of the kids shouted out, "Well, you think you're better than me?" As this person would have been shot at a death glare, enough to actually stun and kill an enemy almost instantly if Izuku went full rogue. "What did you say?" Izuku said. Nothing, the man said. "Better be, before I come over there and fucking kill you," Izuku said. As people thought Izuku was joking, so they just went on their day as normal. As for Clash Rep, same people, Izuku would have been voted in, with Momoya Hirozu being Vice Rep. As Mr. Aizawa would have told everyone to get onto the bus, as Mr. Aizawa would have done so. As we skip through the actual yada yada yada, they got onto the bus. You guys know the gist of this, where this is going. As Izuku and everyone got onto the bus, Izuku felt that something bad was going to happen as very soon. As they were actually talking until the bus spun out of control. "What the?" Aizawa said, as the bus flipped over the mountain, rolling down a cliff, hitting the floor as hard as possible. As a couple of hours or even minutes went by. Well, it felt like hours, but a couple of minutes went by as Izuku arrived out of the rubble. Jesus Christ. I know I have a freaking insane amount of fire in my body to withstand it, but Jesus Christ, the smoke so fucking fucks up my lungs, Izuku said. It's not even intentional either. Who did that? Izuku said, as Izuku looked around to see a lot of students injured or impaled by glass. Izuku looked over at Aizawa with his head bashed against the floor. Well, you get the gist. I'm not going any deeper into that. YouTube will probably get my channel taken down if I went into more detail. As Izuku would have saw his classmates there, Izuku just shrugged his shoulders and walked off. Izuku, not knowing where he is, he tried to radio Kurigiri to come pick him up, but no signal. As Izuku walked around the area, as Izuku saw a house in the bare distance of his actual field of view, as Izuku thought, maybe there's signal in there, Izuku said, as Izuku felt an ominous presence come from the house. But I felt worse, Izuku said, as Izuku surrounded his body in the most light he could to try and burn the forest down to actually get more room to move. Prominence? Burn! Izuku said, throwing a blank mountain of fire at the eye wall and burning the forest down, as Izuku surrounded his body in the leftover light, just putting it into his hand. Okay, where the hell am I? Izuku said, opening the door, as Izuku knocked and shouted in. Hello, anyone in here? Izuku said. If everyone's in here, I'm still coming in. I need to use your fucking phone, Izuku said, opening the door fully, as randomly out of nowhere, a woman or womans would have appeared out of nowhere and grabbed Izuku by both of his arms. What the hell? Izuku said, in shock, as Izuku was being dragged somewhere where he didn't know where was. Hey, excuse me, but where the hell am I? Izuku said, having been blindfolded. Well, you're going to meet our mistress very, very shortly, sir, she said with venom in her voice. Oh, brilliant, Izuku said. Whoop-de-doo. You think I want to do is use a fucking phone and this is how I get treated? Jesus Christ, this fucking country's shit, Izuku said, muffled voice under the thing. As Izuku arrived at the room with his body being cuffed to the body of the chair. Oh, this is pathetic, Izuku said, as Izuku activated his quirk, burning through the rubber and burning through the rope. Okay, what do you want? Izuku said, as Izuku removed the mask. Before Izuku could, he got decked and punched in the stomach. Izuku said, throwing himself back. What the hell was that? Izuku said, looking up, seeing a behemoth woman with massive bazangas and a figure to match, and hair dressed like Madeline Monroe. As Izuku looked up, saying, Damn, you're thick, Izuku said. What did you say, you filthy man? She said, as Izuku just said, I said, damn, you thick. So, down a smash, Izuku said, as Izuku got onto both of his feet, saying, you're thick, so you down a smash, Izuku said. No, I'm not, so now die, she said, as Izuku dodged the first homing attack and threw fire at her, completely just tanking it. Oh, for God's sake. Prominent burn! Izuku was cut off by one of his arms being sliced off. Ugh, Izuku said, groaning in pain. God damn you all for one. Why the fuck did you not give me a regeneration quirk? Izuku said, as this caught the eye of Mala, or the lady, man, I can't remember her name, sorry. As she said, all for one? I haven't heard that name in such a long time. So say you may know who he is? Yeah, he's my mentor and father figure. What's wrong with that? Izuku said, as lady would have just repeated saying, well, that bastard owes me something, and this might be a little present in return, she said, as she grabbed Izuku by his collar, throwing him onto the bed. As Izuku tried to struggle to get up, but he couldn't move, being held down by her massive weight and bazongas. As she crawled up to Izuku's head, she put Izuku's head in between her thighs, and just said, bye-bye, little mortal, she said. This is the perfect way to die, Izuku is thinking internally, as the other thing you heard was a crack of Izuku's neck. Thank you all for watching this video, and this video is made in collaboration with 6meister. Thank you, mate, for giving me the idea, and if you guys actually want me to do more marriage series like this for one-shots and longer videos, please let me know in the comment section down below. It helps me and lets me know you guys actually want another part of this. The new part of actually Six's point of view of this, but with Naruto, will be linked to the description or in the top right hand corner of the screen. So you guys can click on it and watch it through and see what you enjoy. Thank you all, and bye.